There is a moment in life when you realize that effort alone is not enough. You've worked hard, visualized, affirmed, and still the results feel inconsistent, almost random. It's as if something invisible keeps interrupting the rhythm between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. That's where most people unknowingly lose their creative power, in the gap between intention and internal harmony. The truth is that manifestation isn't born from thinking harder. It emerges when thought, emotion, and action begin to move as one continuous current, synchronized in frequency and purpose. This video is not about wishful thinking or shallow positivity. It's about real alignment, where the spiritual and practical merge into a single flow. Every day you send thousands of energetic signals through your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The universe reads these signals as instructions, shaping opportunities and challenges in response. When your thoughts crave abundance but your emotions vibrate fear or scarcity, those messages cancel each other out, creating energetic interference. Imagine trying to tune a radio station while two frequencies overlap. You hear only noise. The same happens within you. To multiply your resources, you must learn to tune your inner frequencies so precisely that the universe has no choice but to respond in harmony with them. Think of your mind as the transmitter, your heart as the amplifier, and your actions as the physical wave that carries the message into the material world. If even one of these is out of sync, the manifestation weakens. But when they resonate together, life begins to mirror that coherence. Money flows more freely, relationships feel easier, creative ideas appear effortlessly, and opportunities find you without force. Alignment doesn't mean control. It means becoming the type of person whose energy naturally attracts what matches their inner truth. By the end of this journey, you'll understand how to transform your mental chatter into clarity, your emotional turbulence into strength, and your actions into magnetic momentum that draws abundance toward you with elegance and consistency. There are moments when you feel as though life is moving faster than your ability to keep up with it. You plan, you work, you visualize, and yet something still resists your effort. It's not laziness or lack of intelligence. It's an invisible fragmentation between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. This fracture, subtle but constant, weakens your capacity to manifest abundance. Every time you declare a goal but secretly doubt your worthiness, you split your energy. Every time you push through exhaustion, ignoring what your emotions are signaling, you lose coherence. Manifestation requires unified intention. It requires that the thoughts you hold, the emotions you embody, and the actions you take speak the same language. When they don't, you vibrate confusion into the universe, and confusion is exactly what comes back to you. Most people live in this invisible tension without realizing it. They wake up thinking about what they want to achieve, but emotionally they are anchored in memories of failure. Their bodies move through tasks on autopilot, carrying the energetic residue of past disappointments. In this state, manifestation becomes impossible, not because the universe refuses to respond, but because the signal being sent is distorted. To multiply your resources, you must first reclaim your energy from the past and redirect it toward the present moment, where creation truly begins. The key is learning to recognize the patterns of fragmentation, the racing thoughts, the emotional dissonance, the actions that feel forced. Awareness dissolves interference. The moment you notice the split, the healing begins. It's important to understand that manifestation is not an act of willpower. It's an act of alignment. The mind often believes that more effort equals better results, but spiritual energy follows a different law. The universe does not respond to desperation. It responds to coherence. Imagine your thoughts as the blueprint of a building, your emotions as the raw materials, and your actions as the construction process. If the blueprint is clear but the materials are weak, the structure collapses. If the materials are strong but the blueprint changes daily, the project never finishes. Only when the plan, the resources, and the labor flow together does creation take form. This is why tuning your inner state is the most powerful investment you can make. It determines not only how much you attract, but also how easily you can sustain what you receive. Let's pause here to reflect on a fundamental truth. Emotions are not enemies to overcome. They are indicators of alignment. When your emotions feel heavy, it's not a punishment. It's feedback. It's the universe whispering that your current vibration is out of sync with your desired reality. Many people try to suppress emotions like fear, guilt, or shame, believing that positivity alone can fix everything. But suppression creates pressure, and pressure leads to energetic leaks. To move into coherence, you must learn to acknowledge emotions without judgment. Naming them neutralizes their power. Saying, "I feel fear," is different from saying, "I am afraid." One identifies a temporary vibration, the other makes it an identity. When you make peace with emotion, energy that was trapped in resistance becomes available again for creation. Another essential aspect of alignment is the body. Your physical state is the bridge between mind and spirit. The way you breathe, eat, and move sends messages to your subconscious about how safe it is to expand. When your body is tense, your energy contracts. When it relaxes, your vibration rises. This is why even small rituals, conscious breathing, stretching, mindful pauses, have profound effects on manifestation. They recalibrate your nervous system, teaching it to interpret abundance as safety instead of threat. You cannot attract prosperity while your body associates expansion with danger. Reprogramming begins with the body, not the mind. When you slow your breath, you slow your thoughts. When you slow your thoughts, clarity emerges. And with clarity, action becomes effortless. There's a concept that many misunderstand. Coherence doesn't mean perfection. It's not about staying positive every minute or never feeling doubt. It's about congruence, the ability to allow thought, feeling, and action to move in the same direction despite imperfection. The most powerful manifestors are not those who avoid discomfort, but those who remain present through it. Presence is power, because it converts chaos into information. When you stay conscious during moments of fear or uncertainty, you extract wisdom from them, instead of being consumed by them. This wisdom is what transforms pain into purpose and confusion into creation. Life stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a collaboration with something greater than yourself. As you deepen into this understanding, you may start noticing subtle synchronicities, small signs that reflect your growing coherence. Perhaps an unexpected opportunity appears, or a person you needed to meet crosses your path at the perfect time. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. The universe mirrors your internal order. Every external alignment begins with an internal one. The moment your thoughts stop contradicting your feelings and your actions stop betraying your intentions, energy begins to flow unobstructed. Abundance is not created, it's revealed. It has always been around you, waiting for your vibration to match its frequency. At this stage, it becomes crucial to protect your energetic focus. The world is full of distractions, social media noise, collective anxiety, endless comparisons that pull your vibration downward. The more you try to please everyone, the further you drift from your own resonance. To manifest effectively, you must become selective with your attention. What you focus on expands, because energy follows awareness. If you constantly observe lack, you reinforce lack. If you consistently hold the vibration of gratitude, you invite expansion. Gratitude is the emotional equivalent of fertile soil. It multiplies whatever seed you plant within it. Start small. Acknowledge one genuine thing each day that feels abundant, even if it's as simple as breath or light. Gratitude stabilizes frequency, and stable frequency accelerates manifestation. Finally, remember that transformation is not a single event but a continual unfolding. Alignment is a practice, not a destination. Every day you have the chance to choose coherence over chaos, clarity over confusion, love over fear. Each time you choose alignment, even in the smallest way, you rewire your energetic field. You become a magnet for experiences that reflect your new vibration. Over time, what once felt like effort becomes natural. Prosperity begins to arrive without struggle, because you are no longer chasing it, you are resonating with it. This is the essence of tuning thoughts, emotions, and actions to multiply available resources. You are not learning to force reality, you are learning to flow with it. And in that flow, everything you once chased begins to move toward you effortlessly. There is a hidden form of resistance that most people carry quietly within them, the urge to control the unfolding of life. It begins with good intentions, the desire for stability, predictability, and safety. Yet, beneath this longing lies fear, the fear that if we let go, everything might fall apart. The paradox is that this very grip on control becomes the wall that separates you from the flow of abundance. Control is the opposite of trust, and manifestation is born only in the atmosphere of trust. The universe does not respond to tension, it responds to openness. When you demand to know when, how, and through whom your desires will appear, you close the energetic pathways that could deliver them in ways far greater than you could plan. Control tries to protect you, but it also keeps you trapped in repetition. This habit of control usually comes from old emotional imprints, moments when unpredictability felt unsafe. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where love, attention, or resources were conditional, where you had to perform to feel secure. Over time, the nervous system learned that vigilance equals safety. You started to believe that being relaxed is dangerous because something could go wrong the moment you stop watching. But spiritual creation requires the opposite state. Abundance enters when you release the need to constantly monitor the process. Like soil that must remain undisturbed for seeds to grow, your manifestations require stillness, not interrogation. Every time you check if it's working, you uproot what was just beginning to sprout. The control pattern hides behind logic. It says, "I'm just being realistic," or "I'm taking responsibility." Yet there's a difference between responsibility and rigidity. Responsibility is conscious participation. Rigidity is fear disguised as discipline. The difference lies in vibration. When your actions are inspired by intuition, they feel alive, spontaneous, and guided. When they stem from fear, they feel heavy, rushed, and full of doubt. One opens the field, the other contracts it. You can feel the distinction instantly in your body. Expansion brings lightness in the chest, calmness in the breath, and clarity in the mind. Contraction feels like tightness, urgency, and the sense that no matter what you do, it's never enough. The body never lies. It always reveals whether you are aligned with flow or trapped in control. At the root of control is the illusion of separation. The mind believes it is alone, isolated from the intelligence that orchestrates galaxies, tides, and seasons. It assumes that without constant interference, things will collapse into chaos. But just as your heart beats without conscious command, the universe also self-organizes. When you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you become part of that living intelligence. You move from forcing outcomes to co-creating them. Life begins to assist you rather than resist you. The timing of events synchronizes with your readiness, and opportunities appear not as coincidences, but as responses to your energetic coherence. This is the essence of surrender. Not passivity, but intelligent trust. To dissolve the energy of control, you must first witness it without judgment. Observe the moments when you try to rush results or manipulate timing. Notice the internal voice that whispers, "What if it doesn't happen?" That voice belongs to an outdated identity, the one that survived by predicting danger. Instead of silencing it, thank it for trying to protect you, and gently remind it that you are safe now. This inner conversation rewires your subconscious from survival to creation. The more you acknowledge your safety in the present moment, the more your vibration stabilizes, and the easier it becomes for abundance to reach you. There is also a subtle form of control hidden in over-effort. Many spiritual seekers exhaust themselves with rituals, affirmations, and techniques, believing that more practice equals faster manifestation. But the truth is that excessive effort often comes from distrust. True creation flows from inspired consistency, not mechanical repetition. When your energy is aligned, a single intentional action can have the impact of hundreds of unfocused ones. Manifestation is less about accumulation of actions and more about the purity of energy behind them. The clearer your vibration, the shorter the distance between intention and materialization. Imagine the universe as a vast ocean and you as a swimmer within it. Control is the act of fighting against the waves, trying to command the water to move according to your will. Flow, on the other hand, is the art of aligning your movement with the rhythm of the sea. You can feel when the tide supports you and when it pulls back. In moments of withdrawal, you rest. In moments of momentum, you glide. The swimmer who trusts the current covers distances effortlessly that the struggler never reaches. Abundance follows the same rhythm. When you trust the current of life, it carries you farther than your effort ever could. As you soften the grip of control, something miraculous begins to happen. You rediscover peace. This peace is not passive, it's fertile. It becomes the ground from which creativity, intuition, and opportunity emerge. When your mind stops spinning in loops of worry, space opens for insight. The universe communicates through that space. Inspiration, ideas, and synchronicities are not random gifts. They are messages received only when the noise of control fades. Every intuitive nudge is a thread of guidance leading you toward what is already waiting for you. The less you interfere, the louder the guidance becomes. Releasing control also transforms your relationship with time. You begin to understand that delays are not denials, but alignments. The universe never says no, it says not yet, something better is forming. When you rush the process, you intercept that better outcome. Patience is not waiting. It is energetic precision. It's holding your vibration steady long enough for the invisible to take form. Just as nature does not rush the blooming of a flower, your desires unfold in perfect timing when you maintain faith. Trust is the bridge between intention and manifestation, and that bridge is built one calm breath at a time. In the end, freedom is not the absence of desire, but the release of obsession with outcomes. When you stop demanding specific shapes for your blessings, you allow life to surprise you with forms you could never have imagined. Control is rooted in limitation. Surrender is rooted in possibility. Every act of trust multiplies your resources because it opens infinite pathways for them to reach you. Letting go is not losing power. It is reclaiming it. It's stepping out of resistance and into resonance, where the universe can finally meet you halfway. There is an invisible moment that repeats itself in nearly every person's life. The instant, just before a breakthrough, when everything feels too heavy, too uncertain, and the temptation to retreat becomes overwhelming. This is the threshold where self-sabotage quietly enters. It is subtle, almost elegant, wearing the disguise of reason. It says, maybe it's not the right time, or I should wait until I'm more prepared. On the surface, these thoughts seem rational, but beneath them lies fear. The fear of expansion, of visibility, of success itself. Self-sabotage is not failure. It is an ancient mechanism of protection. The psyche equates the unknown with danger and seeks to return you to the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. This is why transformation often feels like resistance. You are not fighting against the world, but against your own outdated sense of safety. To understand the roots of self-sabotage, we must look deeper than behavior and enter the emotional memory stored within the body. Every disappointment, rejection, or humiliation leaves a subtle imprint in your nervous system. Over time, these imprints form what could be called emotional reflexes, automatic reactions that trigger withdrawal the moment growth begins to feel uncomfortable. The mind calls it procrastination, perfectionism, or inconsistency, but underneath it all is the body's attempt to keep you within known territory. You cannot bully or shame yourself out of this pattern. That only strengthens the inner resistance. What dissolves it is awareness and compassion, the recognition that these defenses were once intelligent responses to pain. Gratitude toward your own survival mechanisms creates the first crack in the armor of self-sabotage. When your energy is fragmented by doubt, the universe cannot locate a clear signal to respond to. It's like trying to tune into a radio frequency that keeps shifting between channels. One moment you broadcast belief, the next you transmit fear. The universe answers both. This inconsistency explains why some manifestations begin with promise but collapse before completion. The field responds to the dominant vibration, not the occasional moment of faith. That is why sustained coherence, holding the emotional tone of trust long enough for reality to rearrange itself, is the real secret to manifesting abundance. It is not intensity that matters, but stability. A steady flame warms the room more effectively than a burst of fire that quickly burns out. Another way self-sabotage hides is through over-analysis. The intellect becomes addicted to gathering information, forever studying, preparing, or refining. It convinces you that one more book, course, or plan will finally make you ready. But readiness is not a result of accumulation. It is a decision made in the present. When thought and feeling are in alignment, clarity replaces analysis. The next step reveals itself not through overthinking, but through presence. Overanalysis is often the mind's way of avoiding vulnerability, because acting means risking imperfection. Yet the universe does not reward perfection. It responds to authenticity. Action infused with sincerity carries far more magnetic power than flawless hesitation. A deeper layer of self-sabotage involves identity. You cannot live beyond what you unconsciously believe you deserve. Many people attempt to manifest wealth, love, or recognition, while secretly carrying a self-concept of unworthiness. This inner contradiction repels the very experiences they seek. Manifestation is never about convincing the universe. It is about convincing yourself that you are safe to receive. Worthiness is not earned. It is remembered. When you reconnect with the awareness that you are born as part of the same creative intelligence that sustains galaxies, you begin to realize that abundance is not a privilege, but a reflection of your essence. The more you identify with limitation, the more you attract circumstances that confirm it. The moment you shift that identification, the field rearranges itself to mirror your new truth. Consider how the body reacts when you approach success. Often there is a subtle tightening in the chest, a quickening of the pulse, a sudden distraction. These are not random physiological events. They are the body's way of signaling that expansion is approaching the edge of the familiar. Learning to stay present with these sensations without retreating is one of the most sacred practices of growth. Breath becomes the bridge here. Slow, conscious breathing informs the nervous system that you are safe even while stepping into the unknown. Over time, the body begins to associate expansion with safety rather than danger, and the reflex to self-sabotage dissolves naturally. Change ceases to feel like a threat. It begins to feel like home. It is also essential to recognize that self-sabotage often emerges during transitions, when you are between identities. The old self no longer fits, but the new one has not yet stabilized. This in-between space feels uncertain, almost like floating without gravity. Many abandon their process at this stage, mistaking uncertainty for failure. In truth, it is the chrysalis phase of transformation. The discomfort is not a sign of misalignment, but evidence that the old energetic architecture is collapsing to make room for the new. To hold yourself through that phase with patience and gentleness is to honor the sacred mechanics of rebirth. Transformation is not linear, it spirals. Each cycle brings you closer to coherence if you allow the process to unfold without interference. When you begin to master your internal alignment, a quiet confidence replaces the compulsive need for proof. You no longer chase signs or demand reassurance from the universe because you feel the resonance within you. External validation becomes unnecessary. This inner security is magnetic. It attracts resources, opportunities, and people who operate at the same frequency of self-trust. The world outside adjusts to the stability you cultivate inside. Even challenges start to appear as invitations rather than obstacles, each one designed to strengthen your coherence. In this state, your actions become expressions of inner truth rather than reactions to fear. You start moving from inspiration instead of obligation, and that shift changes everything. The energy behind an action determines its outcome. A single step taken in alignment holds more power than 1,000 taken in anxiety. The universe is not counting your efforts. It's reading your energy. When your vibration communicates clarity, faith, and willingness, creation accelerates. What once seemed distant begins to crystallize with surprising ease, not because the world changed, but because you did. Ultimately, overcoming self-sabotage is not about fighting yourself. It is about integrating the parts of you that once believed survival required limitation. Every time you choose awareness over avoidance, trust over fear, and presence over procrastination, you rewrite your energetic story. You become the author of a new narrative, in which success no longer threatens your safety but reinforces it. This is the turning point, where manifestation becomes natural. You stop trying to convince life to bless you, and start recognizing that life has been waiting for your permission all along. When thought, emotion, and action finally align in that understanding, abundance doesn't need to be summoned. It arrives as the echo of your coherence. There comes a stage in every transformation when striving must give way to remembering. You have learned the principles of alignment, recognized the patterns of control, and faced the quiet mechanisms of self-sabotage. Yet, beyond all techniques and disciplines, lies the deeper work, the return to your original energy. This is the part of you that existed before fear, before self-doubt, before the world taught you to trade intuition for logic. It is the unfiltered essence that moves with the universe instead of against it. Reconnecting with this essence is not an act of learning, but of unveiling. It is less about gaining new knowledge and more about releasing the layers that kept you from feeling whole. When you reconnect with this state, manifestation stops being a process and becomes a natural extension of your being. This original energy is not something external waiting to be discovered. It is already woven into your consciousness, quietly present beneath the noise of overthinking. You can sense it in the rare moments of stillness when your mind stops anticipating and your body exhales in relief. It is the feeling of belonging to existence itself. The tragedy is that most people drift so far from that inner stillness that they forget what safety without condition feels like. They chase meaning through endless doing, never realizing that their essence is meaning itself. True abundance flows from this remembrance. When you remember who you are beyond stories and labels, you begin to manifest not from need, but from wholeness, and everything that once felt scarce starts moving toward you naturally. The reason many find it difficult to reconnect with this energy is because they associate peace with passivity. They fear that if they stop striving, life will stagnate. But peace is not stillness. It is the highest form of motion, movement without resistance. Think of a river that flows effortlessly around rocks and bends, adjusting without losing direction. That is what alignment feels like when you operate from your original frequency. The universe meets you with synchronicity, and every step feels guided, even when logic cannot explain it. You begin to sense timing as something intelligent rather than accidental. You feel when to act, when to rest, and when to allow. This intuitive rhythm is not mystical. It is natural coherence between you and life itself. Every disconnection begins with forgetting how to listen. The modern mind is trained to analyze, to calculate, to categorize, but seldom to listen. Listening is a sacred act because it requires stillness, humility, and presence. It means pausing long enough to feel the subtle communication between your intuition and the field around you. The body often hears before the mind does. It responds through sensations, through quiet signals of expansion or contraction. When you relearn to listen to these whispers, you no longer need external confirmation. The universe speaks through energy, and intuition is its translator. Each time you honor that language, you strengthen your bridge to original energy, and your actions begin to carry the power of divine timing. Another aspect of reconnection is healing your relationship with the past. The energy of regret and guilt anchors fragments of your power in timelines that no longer exist. Every time you replay old stories of pain or betrayal, your vibration reactivates the same frequency that once created limitation. Forgiveness, then, is not about excusing others. It is about retrieving your own energy from those frozen moments. It is remembering that the experiences that once hurt you were also shaping the depth of compassion and wisdom you now hold. The universe never wastes pain. It recycles it into strength. When you begin to see your past through the lens of gratitude, you dissolve the illusion of separation between what was and what is. Your energy unifies and coherence returns. This reconnection also involves reclaiming the physical dimension of your being. The body is not an obstacle to spiritual growth. It is the instrument through which divine energy expresses itself. Each breath, movement, and heartbeat is a bridge between the invisible and the tangible. When you care for your body with reverence, through nourishment, rest, and mindful awareness, you communicate to the universe that you are ready to hold greater energy. Prosperity requires a vessel strong enough to sustain it. A chaotic nervous system cannot contain abundance for long because abundance is not a random gift. It is a frequency that demands stability. The more you align with practices that soothe and regulate your body, the easier it becomes to maintain a vibration of peace and receptivity. Reconnection does not mean isolating yourself from the world. It means engaging with it from a higher center of presence. When you live from original energy, your relationships transform. You stop seeking validation and start offering resonance. People feel calmer around you, not because you're trying to heal them, but because your energy reminds them of their own wholeness. In this state, giving and receiving become one continuous motion. You no longer feel depleted by generosity or threatened by others' success, because abundance is experienced as a shared field rather than a personal possession. Life stops feeling like competition and starts feeling like collaboration with the infinite. As you deepen this connection, Creativity awakens in ways you may have forgotten. Inspiration begins to flow effortlessly, not as random bursts, but as a steady current. You find yourself guided to ideas, people, and opportunities that align perfectly with your inner purpose. This is not coincidence. It is the natural consequence of energetic coherence. When you vibrate at your original frequency, the universe arranges circumstances to match that vibration. What once required willpower now happens through ease. What once demanded strategy now unfolds through grace. Manifestation at this level is not about commanding reality. It is about remembering your unity with it. Eventually, the line between spiritual and material dissolves completely. You begin to see that money, health, love, and creativity are all expressions of the same divine intelligence, just manifesting in different forms. To tune your thoughts, emotions, and actions is to return to harmony with that intelligence. You no longer seek abundance as something separate from yourself. You become its channel. Everything you touch begins to reflect the peace you hold within. The mind relaxes, the heart expands, and action becomes sacred service. This is the highest expression of manifestation, not accumulation, but alignment, not force, but flow. Reconnecting with your original energy is the final remembering that there was never truly a separation between you and the universe. The distance existed only in thought, not in truth. The moment you return to that awareness, life begins to mirror it instantly. Synchronicity replaces struggle, clarity replaces confusion, and joy returns without cause. You start to live, not in pursuit of abundance, but as abundance itself. Every breath becomes an act of creation, every heartbeat a reminder that the universe is breathing with you. This is where the journey of alignment leads, not to a destination, but to a homecoming within yourself. In the end, every principle shared throughout this journey leads back to one truth. You are not separate from the source of abundance you seek. The thoughts you cultivate, the emotions you sustain, and the actions you choose are not independent forces. They are the language through which you communicate with the universe. When those three align, creation stops being an external pursuit and becomes an internal expression of harmony. Prosperity, then, is not earned through struggle. It is revealed through coherence. The same intelligence that governs the tides and stars flows through you, responding not to your effort, but to your frequency. When you live from trust instead of fear, when your actions arise from inspiration instead of obligation, you begin to witness the extraordinary precision with which life arranges itself around your inner state. True manifestation is not about bending reality to your will. It is about remembering that you are already part of its divine rhythm. Every obstacle you faced, every delay you endured, was guiding you back to this realization. The moment you choose alignment over resistance, life begins to mirror your choice with breathtaking accuracy. Your thoughts become clear intentions, your emotions become pure fuel, and your actions become extensions of love in motion. In that alignment, resources multiply not because you chase them, but because you radiate the vibration that naturally attracts them. You become a living demonstration of universal order, a being who moves with purpose, serenity, and power. This is the sacred art of tuning thoughts, emotions, and actions to multiply resources. It is the mastery of becoming fully yourself. What if the universe has been waiting all along, not to give you more, but for you to remember that you already are more? If this message resonated with you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and join a community that lives in awareness, alignment, and growth. Your journey toward higher consciousness doesn't end here. It's just beginning. Continue watching the next video now and allow these teachings to deepen within you as you move closer to your truest vibration. The universe is listening. Keep the conversation alive.